This is a public hearing on a special appropriation to the county government's FY19 operating budget for the Department of Health and Human Services in the amount of $70,799 for behavioral health and crisis services for the adult drug court program. An HHS Public Safety Committee work session is tentatively scheduled for Monday, October 15th, 2018. Persons wishing to submit additional comments or material for consideration should do so before the close of business on October 10th. And we have a number of speakers, beginning with our distinguished Judge Nelson Rupp and former council member Phil Andrews and Lynn Boynton, Rodney Sims, Nicholas Borowski, and is it Bunny Boswell or Bonnie Bunny? Thank you. So you'll speak in that order, and as you know, we have 3 minutes for each speaker, and when 30 seconds are remaining, the yellow light will come on. Judge Rupp, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, President Ryan.
You'll need to hit the button at the base of the microphone bar and then move that. The light comes on, sorry, it's at the base of this proboscis-looking. It's good to have a council member with you at the dais, former council member. And then bring it close.
There we go. I need somebody to help me tie my shoes.
That's okay. Your judgment is sound. If the mechanics are.
All right, we ready? Thank you for asking me to be here and support the request of Councilmember Katz and Councilmember Florine to appropriate $70,799 to the Department of Health and Human Services to fund an additional therapist for the adult drug court. 14 years ago, we began our adult drug court with the assistance of a number of disparate agencies, including the State's Attorney's Office, Public Defender's Office, Health and Human Services, Department of Parole and Probation, Sheriff's Office, and Court Administration. We have continued to work together over the past 14 years with tremendous results. The Montgomery County Council, you have been an essential component to our success. Your funding of the Health and Human Services aspect of drug court is critical to our ability to successfully address the needs of our drug court participants. Our drug court population consists of nonviolent addicted offenders. We have made a conscious decision to focus our efforts on repeat offenders. The first offender or second offender may not need the intense treatment, monitoring, and supervision that drug court provides. Drug court is a difficult program. It takes on average 3 years to complete it. Each participant is required to attend treatment sessions 3 times per week, undergo random urinalysis 2 to 3 times per week, have weekly contact with a case manager, come to court weekly, attend 3 12-step meetings per week, have employment, and live in approved sober housing. The vast majority of our drug court population has never succeeded at anything. The vast majority of our drug court population has lived a life of addiction and crime. The vast majority of our drug court population enters drug court to avoid a lengthy period of incarceration. Consequently, changing a lifetime of behavior and conduct for this population is an incredible challenge, but it is also incredibly rewarding to see these individuals get their lives back, their families back, and to have hope for a better way of life makes all the time, effort, and stress worthwhile. The people who work in our drug court are here on a mission to our community. It is a ministry. It is not a job. It is our passion. We have experienced the joy of 102 successful graduates from drug court. But we are failing. We cannot continue to work with our drug court participants without your help. Yikes. The staffing of 1 therapist for every 20 participants is woefully inadequate because our drug court population has drastically changed over the past 14 years. 2004, the primary substance of abuse were alcohol, marijuana, PCP, and cocaine. Opioid abuse was non-existent. Now, 2/3 of our population reports opioid abuse. Synthetic substances such as K2 and others that mimic opioids are significant issues.
Judge, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them.
All right. We need your support. Thank you.
All right.
That's very good. He was hoping that would happen.
I didn't want it to happen, actually, but I wasn't quite sure how I could. Exactly. Thank you for giving us the chance to support your work, Judge. We really appreciate it. We will refer to your written remarks, and you've got a terrific panel of other speakers here to help bring it. Thank you, Judge Rupp. Mr. Andrews.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Reamer and members of the council. I'm representing John McCarthy, our state's attorney here today, who wishes he could be here because he is a no bigger fan of this program than in fact, I don't think any other bigger fan could be found other than a few other people in this room who have worked on drug court for years. This is one of the best programs that Montgomery County finances. It is probably the best drug court in the nation, and that's because of the people that you see to my left and some of the people in the back as well who work this program every day. For 14 years, Montgomery County has had a drug court. More than 200 people have graduated from drug court. As Judge Roop said, if these folks were not in drug court, they would be in jail or likely dead. These lives have been turned around by this amazing program, and it is the therapists that do perhaps the most intensive work along with the case managers with these individuals. Judge Roop is the champion judge that made this happen. That's how, as you know, problem-solving courts get started. That's how the mental health court has been launched, and the support of all of you for these problem-solving courts is been unstinting, because I think you understand that this is the smart approach to criminal justice, that these are folks that should not be in jail, and if we can do, they did something to be in jail, but they should not stay there if we can help them make better decisions about how to live their lives by overcoming their addiction or their mental illness. And so Mr. McCarthy enthusiastically and very strongly supports this appropriation. If by chance the County Council has recently acquired the authority to override the mandatory retirement age for judges, he would like you to amend this appropriation to do so, because unfortunately Judge Roop's retirement is approaching sometime next spring. So, but short of that, he urges you to give expeditious and speedy approval to this appropriation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, former Councilman Andrew. Lynn Boynton.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I provided a fact sheet for the Montgomery County Adult Drug Court Program that shows you the intensity of the supervision of the participants, which is one of the many reasons why we need an additional therapist. It's very, very big job, and we have an increasing number of participants, as you all know, based on the current drug crisis. I had been involved as past president of the bar following going to 6 funerals in 6 months for people who died of opioid overdoses in 2014 and 15, and have learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. But the one entity that seems to be getting the most done for the least money in the shortest amount of time is the drug court. And I believe it's because they have created the perfect balance of tough love, consistency, insisting on long-term treatment with instant consequences for failure to comply, so that they're keeping people alive long enough, that they're clean long enough, that their brains get rewired, and they might have a chance at recovering, going back to their families, taking care of their families, and no longer being a drain on our social service systems. So it's not just money for drug court. It's going to relieve many other elements of our system if we can try to curb this crisis by letting drug court do what it does so well. They only have a 20% recidivism rate, which there's no rehab program ever that could have those kind of statistics. And I think it speaks for itself, but you know, a 32-month program is long enough for someone's brain to get rewired and they have a chance of recovering. And if we can do everything we can to support them and give them as much permanent funding as possible, it will come back exponentially. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boynton. It's so nice to get a chance to learn about this program through this testimony today. Appreciate your participation. Rodney Sims. Okay. Nicholas Borowski.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas Borowski. I have lived here in Montgomery County my entire life. I'd like to briefly share my story with you and explain how the adult drug court program helped save my life. Let me repeat. The Montgomery County Adult Drug Program saved my life. I started using substances to escape my emotions and responsibilities at a young age. Drugs gave me the relief. Once I started using, it was already too late. I developed a 2-gram-a-day heroin habit. Due to my using, we'd been raided by the Secret Service. Montgomery Drug Task Force was working with my own mother. I could not get out of bed. I would go in and out of Montgomery General Hospital due to abscesses, cellulitis, and staph infections. Even the FBI came to my landlord's house looking for me to ask questions, but luckily I was in Avery Road. My family expected my death, heck, even expected it, and I even welcomed it. By the time of my eventual arrest, I didn't want to live. I felt like I had failed life in every aspect. The drugs, no matter how much I had in my pocket, did not fill the empty shell of a person I was. I was an addict in active addiction who thought that there was no way out. Jenna Davis, the drug court coordinator, saw my case on her radar and worked very hard behind the scenes in order to have my case be accepted into the drug court. Jenna and the state's attorney, Karen Mooney, thought I was the perfect and ideal candidate. At that point, I was facing multiple felonies and prison time. I listened to my gut and decided to take the adult drug court program, and it changed my life. Drug court and total abstinence forced me to take an honest look at myself. The main thing drug court instilled in me was patience. And patience is defined as the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. And as a youth, I could never sit through feelings and sit through responsibilities without reacting negatively or acting out. Today, I'm a taxpayer, a sponsor, a father-in-law, a son, a brother, a fiance, a student, an intern at the Library of Congress, and I work at a new outpatient program in Montgomery County called Second Chance Addiction Care. All that stuff is good, and all but the most important thing in my life is that I'm a clean addict in recovery. That's the most important thing out of all the stuff I've earned. And I just recently celebrated 3 years clean. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing your story, Nicholas. That's remarkable, and you really are on the path to success. Nice work. Ms. Boswell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Did the light come on?
It's on.
It's on? Bunny Boswell. Been around for the last 51 years. Been with drug court for the past 14 years. And I'm here today only to ask you guys for help. We need help. Our young people are dying, and they're dying rapidly. And $70,000, $170,000 is not enough to equate what the people that I work for and with do. They work hard. They're there at 9 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning to help the young people that are depressed, that are paranoid, that are afraid, that are lonely, that are hungry, that have no one there to really support them. And we are there. Drug court has been one of the best programs that I've had to deal with in my 51 years of being here. TASK was great, but this is greater. And this young fella right here, he's something else. He's awesome. And he works with us. He works with the clients. And one of the things that we do most and foremost with these clients is we support them and we love them. We let them know that we care. Montgomery County, get off your butts and care. You know, give us the money to do what we need to do to help these folks and come down to 971 Rollins Avenue and visit us. Look at what we do. Look at who we're working with. And we're not working with somebody that just went out and took a couple of pills overnight. We're working with kids that are killing themselves. I want to see these young people live. I want to see them have babies. I want to see them grow up. And drug court does not just stop because they have graduated. Some graduate, some don't. I'm getting calls for people that's been in drug court, didn't graduate, but it helped them turn their lives around. I had a call yesterday from a young lady who asked me to help get a young man into drug court. She didn't even graduate, but she's doing fine. And she said, thanks, because of drug court, she carried that information with her. It didn't happen then, but it did happen. So I'm not going to be long-winded. You all write the check. That's what we need, okay? We need the help, and it takes a little bit of money to take it a long way, okay? So I expect to see, not 70,000, but how about 170? Maybe we need 2 more.
Thank you, Ms. Boswell. Thank you for saving lives. Thank you for your work in the community. Judge, is there anything you'd like to add, anything you didn't get a chance to say, or points you'd like to make?
Yeah, I just, I mean, these folks said it all, but Lynn, as president of the Montgomery County Bar Association 2015, made it her signature platform, the opioid addiction. Not the typical professionalism, civility, the things we hear. Over 1,000 lawyers there on the law day, induction of Lynn as president. And she has put her money where her mouth is. Involved in programs, with the schools, with the police, with the state's attorney. And so to listen to Lynn here today, she is somebody. And this guy here, he was 30 years old. He's got 3 years of sobriety, an opiate addict, and he has turned his life around. And Bunny Boswell, Saint Bunny.
No.
She was recognized by Ike Leggett for her 50 years of service to the community. You have a problem, you call Bunny. And she was my first drug court case manager. Wouldn't have started drug court without her. Back in 2004, you got to have a job. And we're typical court session during the day. And I said, how come Hassan Twyman doesn't have a job? He's a good-looking guy. I know he's trying to get a job. And she looks at me, she goes, who's going to hire him if he's got to come to court once a day every week? So we moved it to night court, just like that, because of Bunny. We're here to serve the community, and it is hard work. It's hard work, and we need your support. We need your help. We need an additional therapist. Thank you for considering.
Thank you, Judge Roop. We have a few lights on. Councilmember Katz.
And thank you. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I too want to just thank you all for what you do. I come to the graduations. I've seen you in action in many ways, and you do save lives. But I think the most important thing, and Lynn touched on this before, is the tough love. I've been in that room when somebody said, and I talk about it all the time, that somebody said that they were facing 110 years in jail, that they had been in and out of jail like this young man here. He had all these problems. Nothing ever got to him. But when it was Judge Quirk, I believe, that said that you're going to be facing 110 years in jail, he said to the judge, he said, Your Honor, you got my attention that day. And for some reason they would. And he changed his life. He absolutely went back to his family. His children were in the room. I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And that's what this is all about. The $70,000 is a number that we should and will, hopefully, be giving. But it's the amount of love that's given to these people that need love during times when they don't have it for themselves in some cases is the most important part. Thank you all for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Katz. Mr. Rice.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Borowski, I wanted to ask you, because your case is one that's very riveting to me, but it's indicative of what we continue to see amongst a lot of young people in our community. And so I'm curious, when did you start using? Were you in school when you first started using?
I was 15 years old.
Okay, and so were there ever folks within the school system that had identified and recognized some of the signs that you may be using and tried to reach out to you, or was that something that you just didn't experience?
Yeah, from the second I started using, there was consequences. The school, therapists, my parents tried to get me into therapy, but nothing worked. I mean, until I was ready, nothing worked.
Okay, it's one in which I chair the education committee, so it's one in which I just always want to make sure that we are trying to do what we can to reach out to folks. I think what Councilmember Katz was saying is that it's never the right time until it's the right time. And so, you have to be able to decide that this is the time in which I'm going to make that change. I really want to applaud you for that. But certainly just wanted to understand a little bit more about your background and history and make sure that there weren't some missteps along the way. But thank you very much for your courage in being able to share your story with us and continuing to be an advocate and continuing to give back to others who face the same challenges that you faced.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Well, this appropriation will help us ensure that we can be there when a person is ready to begin their new life. So appreciate Mr. Katz bringing this forward. Thank you to all of you who came here to participate today and to help us better understand this issue.